Picture, if you will, a single candle flame, flickering softly in the quiet darkness of night. This tiny light burns steadily, casting gentle shadows that dance and sway with each passing moment. Like this candle, each of us carries within our bodies billions of tiny flames, our cells, each one burning with the quiet fire of life itself. And just like that candle, these cellular flames change over time, growing dimmer in some ways, yet deeper and more beautiful in others. Tonight, we're going to explore one of life's most profound mysteries together, the gentle passage of time through our bodies and why we age. It's a story written in the language of our cells, told through the whispered secrets of our DNA, and painted across the canvas of years that make up a human lifetime. Before we begin this peaceful journey together, if you enjoy these relaxing science stories, feel free to subscribe, give this video a like, and comment below. Let me know what country you're watching from and what time you're listening to this tonight. Your gentle presence here means the world, and knowing where in this vast world you're resting as you listen brings a special kind of connection to this quiet moment we're sharing now. Settle back into your pillows. Let your breathing slow and deepen, and imagine yourself floating gently through the streams of time itself. Tonight, we'll discover why the years leave their gentle marks upon us, why our bodies change like seasons cycling through the calendar of our lives, and how the very act of living, this beautiful, impossible thing we do every day, writes itself into every cell, every heartbeat, every breath. Close your eyes if you'd like, and let's begin this soft exploration of time, life, and the exquisite science of growing older. Asterisk, asterisk, in the quiet hours of early morning, when the world rests in that precious space between night and dawn, have you ever noticed how a spider's web catches the first drops of dew? Each delicate strand becomes adorned with tiny pearls of water, transforming an invisible creation into something luminous and extraordinary. The web itself hasn't changed. Its structure remains the same intricate pattern, the spider wove in darkness. Yet time has revealed its hidden beauty, made visible what was always there. This is perhaps the gentlest way to think about aging, not as something that breaks us down, but as something that reveals the intricate patterns of our lives, the beautiful complexity of our existence, made visible through the gentle accumulation of years. Like morning dew settling on that spider's web, time settles upon us, highlighting the remarkable architecture of who we are. But what if I told you that within your body right now, there's an invisible clock ticking? Not the harsh, mechanical ticking of a wall clock that counts down moments with urgent precision, but something far more mysterious and beautiful, a soft, cellular whisper that measures not just time, but the very essence of life itself. This clock doesn't count seconds or minutes. It counts something far more profound. It counts the breaths your cells take, the meals they digest, the repairs they make, the dreams they help you dream. Imagine for a moment that you could shrink down, becoming smaller than a grain of sand, smaller than a speck of dust, so tiny that you could slip between the spaces in your own skin and swim through the warm, salty ocean that flows between your cells. As you float there in this inner sea, you begin to notice something extraordinary. Each cell around you pulses with its own gentle rhythm, like thousands of tiny hearts beating in perfect, quiet harmony. Some of these cells are young, newly born, fresh and energetic, their surfaces smooth and bright, like river stones polished by flowing water. They move with purpose and vitality, dividing and multiplying, building and repairing with the enthusiasm of spring. Others are older, their surfaces bearing the gentle patina of experience, like old books whose pages have been turned countless times, or like smooth driftwood shaped by years of ocean tides. And here's where our curiosity begins to bloom like a night flower opening to moonlight. What makes some cells young and others old? What invisible hand guides this transformation? What secret language do our cells speak when they whisper to each other about the passage of time? The answer lies hidden in the very heart of each cell, in the twisted ribbons of DNA that coil and spiral like the shell of a nautilus, carrying within their elegant curves the complete story of who you are. But these ribbons of life come with something remarkable, something that scientists have only recently begun to understand in all its quiet complexity. Picture your DNA as an ancient scroll, written in a language older than any human civilization. At the very ends of this scroll, like protective caps on the tips of shoelaces, are special sequences called telomeres. These molecular guardians are like the brass caps on the ends of old telescope tubes, protecting the precious instrument within from damage and wear. Every time a cell divides, creating two cells from one in the endless dance of growth and renewal, these telomeres grow just a little bit shorter. It's as if each cell division requires a small payment, a tiny toll paid in the currency of these protective sequences. Like a candle burning down as it gives light, or like waves slowly eroding a cliff face, these cellular timekeepers slowly, gradually, gently wear away. This is the soft ticking of our cellular clocks. Not harsh or urgent, but patient and methodical, measuring out the rhythm of life itself. With each division, each repair, each moment of living, our cells pay this gentle price. It's not cruel or harsh. It's simply the way life has learned to keep time, to ensure that our stories unfold at just the right pace, neither too fast nor too slow. And as these cellular timekeepers grow shorter, our cells begin to change. They don't break down suddenly like a machine running out of fuel. Instead, they transform gradually, like autumn leaves changing color, still beautiful, still functional, but different, deeper, more nuanced, carrying within them the accumulated wisdom of countless divisions, countless repairs, countless quiet moments of simply being alive. This is why a child's skin feels different from their grandmother's skin, why young muscles recover quickly while older muscles take their time, why some memories fade while others grow more precious and clear. It's all part of this gentle cellular clock, this soft accounting of time that happens in the microscopic spaces of our being. But here's something wonderful to contemplate as you drift deeper into this peaceful state. This aging process isn't a flaw in the system. It's not a mistake or an oversight in the grand design of life. Instead, it's a feature, a beautiful, necessary part of what makes us human. It ensures that each generation can pass on its wisdom while making room for new ideas, new dreams, new ways of seeing the world, like a river that changes course over centuries, carving new channels through the landscape while leaving behind the fertile soil of its former path. Aging allows life itself to flow forward, to explore new possibilities, to write new chapters in the endless story of existence. So as we begin to explore this gentle science together, let yourself rest in the knowledge that every moment of your life, every breath, every heartbeat, every cell division happening quietly within you right now is part of something magnificent and purposeful. You are not just growing older. You are participating in one of the universe's most elegant processes, helping to write the continuing story of life itself. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. As you settle deeper into this peaceful exploration, imagine yourself as a gentle observer in the most extraordinary library that has ever existed. This library isn't built of stone or wood, but of living tissue. Its books aren't made of paper and ink, but of protein and DNA, and the stories contained within aren't written in any human language, but in the ancient chemical poetry that has been composing the song of life for billions of years. You are floating now through the warm corridors of this cellular library, where every shelf stretches endlessly in directions that seem to curve through dimensions beyond our normal understanding. Each book on these living shelves represents a single cell, and within each cell book lies the complete instruction manual for building and maintaining a human being. 23,000 genes, written in an alphabet of just 4 letters. A, T, G, and C, arranged in sequences so precise and elegant that they make the most complex symphony seem simple by comparison. But here's where our gentle scientific journey becomes truly fascinating. These instruction manuals aren't static documents. They don't sit unchanged on their shelves like ancient texts in a museum. Instead, they're living documents, constantly being read, interpreted, and rewritten by the cell's own molecular machinery. Think of it like a medieval monastery where monks work day and night, copying and illuminating manuscripts, but where the act of copying somehow changes both the monk and the manuscript in subtle, beautiful ways. The process that lies at the heart of aging is called cellular senescence, a word that sounds harsh and clinical, but which actually describes something quite poetic. Senescence comes from the Latin word meaning to grow old, but in the cellular world, it doesn't mean death or decay. Instead, it describes a state of quiet wisdom, cells that have lived long enough and experienced enough to know when it's time to slow down, to stop dividing, and to focus their energy on different kinds of work. Picture an old craftsman who's been making beautiful furniture for 60 years. His hands may not be as quick as they once were, but they carry within them a knowledge and skill that cannot be taught, only earned through decades of patient practice. When he slows down, it's not because he's broken or failing, but because he has reached a different stage of mastery where quality becomes more important than quantity. This is what happens to our cells as they age. The young cells divide rapidly, building and repairing with enthusiasm. But as they grow older, as their telomeres shorten and their molecular machinery accumulates, the gentle wear of countless chemical reactions, they enter this state of senescence. They stop dividing, but they don't simply shut down. Instead, they begin to secrete different chemicals, sending messages to their neighbors, sharing the accumulated wisdom of their cellular experiences. Some of these senescent cells release inflammatory signals, not the harsh inflammation of injury, but a subtle chemical conversation that helps coordinate the body's response to the gradual changes of aging. It's like an old tree that stops growing taller, but begins to drop leaves that fertilize the soil around it, creating conditions for new growth while sharing the nutrients it has gathered over its lifetime. The truly beautiful part of this process is how interconnected it all is. Your skin cells communicate with your muscle cells, which send messages to your brain cells, which coordinate with your heart cells in an endless, quiet symphony of chemical conversation. When cells in one part of your body begin to age, they don't age in isolation. They share their experience with the entire community of your being. This is why aging affects us as whole organisms, not just as collections of individual cells. The shortening telomeres in your muscle cells influence the behavior of nearby blood vessels. The senescent cells in your skin begin to produce different proteins that affect the texture and appearance of your complexion. The aging neurons in your brain form new connections even as others fade, creating the unique neural architecture that makes your thoughts and memories distinctly yours. And here's something truly remarkable to contemplate as you float through this cellular library. The rate at which this aging process occurs isn't fixed or predetermined. It's influenced by countless factors that weave together in patterns as complex and beautiful as frost forming on a winter window. The foods you eat, the air you breathe, the amount of sleep you get, the stress you experience, the love you give and receive, all of these write themselves into the molecular story of your cells. Scientists have discovered that meditation, gentle exercise, meaningful social connections, and even the simple act of learning new things can influence the rate at which telomeres shorten. It's as if the cells themselves respond to the quality of the life they're helping to create aging. more slowly when that life is filled with purpose, peace, and connection. This gives us a beautiful perspective on our own aging process. We're not passive victims of cellular decay, but active participants in a magnificent biological symphony. Every choice we make, every moment of kindness we extend, every deep breath we take, every peaceful sleep we enjoy, all of these contribute to the ongoing composition of our cellular song. So as you rest here in this quiet moment, feel the gentle activity of your cells continuing their ancient work. Some are dividing, creating new possibilities. Others are entering senescence, sharing their accumulated wisdom. All of them are participating in the slow, patient, beautiful process of writing your unique story into the living book of your body. This is the gentle science of aging, not a race against time, but a dance with it, where each step, each turn, each pause contributes to the overall beauty of the performance. And you, resting peacefully in this moment, are both the dancer and the dance, both the story and the storyteller, both the cellular library and the quiet reader discovering the amazing tale contained within. Asterisk, asterisk. Let me take you back now, floating gently through time itself, to a quiet laboratory in the 1960s, where a remarkable discovery was unfolding as softly as morning mist rising from a still pond. Picture, if you will, a patient scientist named Leonard Hayflick, working late into the evening hours when the world outside had grown silent and peaceful. The only sounds in his laboratory were the gentle hum of equipment and the soft scratching of his pen as he recorded observations that would change our understanding of life itself. Dr. Hayflick was watching cells grow in glass dishes, much like a gardener tending to seedlings in a greenhouse. But these weren't ordinary plants. These were human cells, living and dividing in their carefully controlled environment. For months, he had been observing something that contradicted everything scientists believed about cellular life at the Bolis. Time. The prevailing wisdom, you see, was that cells could live forever if given the right conditions, like an eternal flame that would never burn out as long as it had fuel. Scientists believed that with proper nutrients and care, cells would continue dividing indefinitely, creating copy after copy of themselves in an endless cycle of renewal. But Hayflick noticed something different, something subtle and profound. As he watched his cell cultures day after day, week after week, he saw that even under perfect conditions, with abundant nutrients, ideal temperature, and protection from harm, the cells would eventually stop dividing. They didn't die suddenly or dramatically. Instead, they simply paused. Like an old clock winding down, they gradually slowed their activity and entered a state of peaceful rest. This discovery was so revolutionary that it took years for the scientific community to accept it. Hayflick had uncovered what we now call the Hayflick limit, the built-in boundary that prevents normal cells from dividing forever. It was as if he had discovered that every cell carries within it a gentle timer, counting down not to destruction, but to a different kind of existence. Imagine his wonder as he realized what this meant. Here was evidence that aging wasn't just something that happened to whole organisms. It was written into the very essence of our cells. It wasn't a failure of the system, but a feature of it. Each cell came equipped with its own internal wisdom about when to grow, when to work, and when to rest. The number he discovered, roughly 50 to 70 divisions before cells enter senescence, became known as the Hayflick limit. But think of it not as a limitation, but as a cellular sense of timing, as elegant and purposeful as the way a flower knows when to bloom and when to set seed. Years later, other scientists would discover the molecular mechanism behind Hayflicks. Observation, those telomeres we spoke of earlier, shortening with each division like a slowly burning fuse. But Hayflick's patient observation came first. His gentle curiosity about why cells behaved the way they did, opening a door to understanding that we're still walking through today. There's something deeply poetic about this discovery happening. In the quiet hours of a laboratory, observed by a scientist who had the patience to watch and wait and notice patterns that others had missed. It reminds us that some of the most profound truths reveal themselves not through dramatic experiments or loud proclamations, but through quiet attention to the subtle rhythms of life itself, got in ancient times, before we knew about cells and DNA. And telomeres, people told stories to explain the mystery of aging. The Greeks spoke of the fates, three sisters who spun, measured, and cut the thread of each person's life. One sister spun the thread, representing birth and the beginning of life's journey. Another measured its length, determining the span of years allotted to each soul. And the third, when the time was right, gently cut the thread, bringing that particular story to its close. How beautiful it is to realize that modern science has found an echo of this ancient wisdom in the structure of our cells themselves. The telomeres that cap our chromosomes are like that measured thread, not cruel or arbitrary, but purposeful and precise. They ensure that each cellular story unfolds at just the right pace, with just the right duration, contributing to the larger narrative of our lives. Hayflick's discovery also revealed something else profound, that our cells possess a kind of molecular memory. As they divide and age, they accumulate not just wear and tear, but experience. They respond differently to signals, produce different proteins, and communicate with their neighbors in ways that reflect their cellular history. Like an old musician whose playing becomes more nuanced with years of practice, aged cells bring depth and complexity to the symphony of our bodies. This cellular memory helps explain why aging isn't uniform across our bodies or consistent between individuals. The cells in your heart, which beat continuously from before your birth, age differently than the cells in your liver, which regenerate regularly throughout your life. The neurons in your brain, many of which will never divide again, after your early development, accumulate their own unique patterns of molecular change over the decades of your thoughts and dreams. And just as Hayflick watched his cells with patient attention, we can learn to observe our own aging process with the same gentle curiosity, not with fear or resistance, but with wonder at the incredible complexity and purpose built into this most fundamental aspect of being alive. Each gray hair, each laugh line, each subtle change in how our bodies move through the world is evidence of this beautiful cellular timing at work. So as you rest here in this peaceful moment, think of Dr. Hayflick in his quiet laboratory, discovering through patient observation one of the most profound truths about life itself. His work reminds us that science at its best is not about conquering or controlling nature, but about listening carefully to what it has to teach us about the elegant rhythms that govern our existence. Now, let us embark on the most extraordinary journey possible, a voyage that requires no spacecraft, no special equipment, no preparation, other than the gentle relaxation you're already experiencing. We're going to travel inward, shrinking down through layers of existence, until we reach the very heart of what makes you. Imagine yourself becoming smaller, as if you were Alice falling gently down the rabbit hole, but instead of tumbling through earth and roots, you're drifting downward through the layers of your own being. First, you pass through your skin, that remarkable barrier that has protected you your entire life. Its surface a landscape of gentle hills and valleys, invisible to the naked eye, populated by microscopic gardens of beneficial bacteria that have been your faithful companions since birth. As you grow smaller still, you slip between the skin cells themselves, entering the warm, fluid space that exists between all the cells of your body. Here, you find yourself floating in what scientists call the extracellular matrix, a soft, gel-like ocean that fills the spaces between cells like a three-dimensional web of support and communication. This isn't empty space, as you might expect, but a rich, living environment filled with proteins and sugars that form delicate scaffolding, providing structure and carrying messages between cells. Imagine this matrix as an underwater garden, where strands of collagen drift like kelp in a gentle current, while other proteins dance and weave around them. This is where much of the visible aging process occurs. As we grow older, this extracellular garden changes its composition, becoming less elastic, less hydrated, like a sponge that slowly loses its ability to hold water. The collagen fibers, once smooth and flexible as silk ribbons, gradually develop cross-links that make them stiffer, like rope that becomes more coarse with age and weather. But let's journey deeper still, approaching the shore of a single cell. As you draw near, you begin to appreciate the incredible complexity of this microscopic world. The cell membrane isn't the simple barrier you might imagine, but rather a sophisticated interface, constantly adjusting its permeability, studded with protein channels that open and close like tiny gates, allowing some molecules to pass, while excluding others. Passing through this living boundary, you find yourself inside the cellular cytoplasm, a warm, busy space that's like floating through a microscopic city. Organelles drift past you like buildings in this cellular metropolis. The mitochondria, those powerhouses of the cell, pulse with their own internal rhythms, their folded inner membranes creating chambers where the alchemy of energy production takes place. These remarkable structures have their own DNA, separate from the cell's main genetic library, and their own aging process that contributes to the overall story of cellular time. As mitochondria age, they become less efficient at producing energy, like old power plants that still function but require more maintenance and produce less electricity. This is part of why we feel less energetic as we grow older, not because we're becoming lazy or unmotivated, but because the fundamental energy-producing machinery within our cells is gradually shifting into a more contemplative, less hurried mode of operation. But our destination lies deeper still, in the heart of the cell, the nucleus. Approaching this central command center, you notice its double membrane, perforated with pores that control the flow of information between the nucleus and the rest of the cell. These pores are like customs checkpoints, carefully inspecting every molecule that wants to enter or leave this most sacred space. And now, finally, you slip through one of these nuclear pores and find yourself in the most extraordinary library in existence, the nucleus itself. Here, floating in the nucleoplasm like luminous ribbons in still water, are the chromosomes. When the cell isn't dividing, these structures exist in a relaxed state called chromatin, with the DNA wrapped around proteins like thread wound around countless tiny spools. But look closer now, and you'll see them, those telomeres we've spoken of, like protective caps at the ends of each chromosome. In this microscopic realm, they appear as repetitive sequences of DNA spelled out in that four-letter alphabet of life, TTAGG, repeated over and over like a mantra or a prayer whispered at the molecular level. Each time this cell divides, some of these protective sequences will be lost. It's happening right now, in cells throughout your body, this gentle, inexorable shortening that marks the passage of cellular time. But here, floating in this nuclear space, you can appreciate it, not as loss, but as purpose. These telomeres are paying themselves out like anchor rope, allowing the cell to remain stable and functional while measuring the passage of its individual story. You might notice that different chromosomes have telomeres of different lengths, some longer, some shorter, reflecting the unique history of this particular cell. Some have divided more recently, others have been resting longer. Each telomere length tells part of the story of your body's journey through time. And here's something wonderful to contemplate as you float in this inner space. The aging process happening at this molecular level isn't separate from your conscious experience of life. The thoughts you're thinking right now, the peaceful feeling of relaxation you're experiencing, the memories that might be drifting through your mind, all of these are somehow connected to the molecular dance happening in the neurons of your brain, where similar telomeres are marking similar time, where similar processes of cellular wisdom are unfolding. The remarkable thing is that this journey inward reveals aging not as decay, but as increasing complexity and sophistication. Young cells are like enthusiastic children, energetic and simple. But aged cells are like wise elders, more complex in their responses, richer in their accumulated molecular experience, more nuanced in their communication with their neighbors. As you begin to drift back outward from this molecular heart of your being, carry with you this image, millions of cellular clocks ticking softly in harmony, each one marking not the countdown to an ending, but the accumulation of a life fully lived. Each shortened telomere, each senescent cell, each subtle change in the extracellular matrix is evidence of your participation in the grand experiment of conscious existence. This is the true journey within, not just a voyage through physical space, but a recognition that your aging body is a library of experiences, a museum of moments, a living archive of every breath you've taken, every kindness you've given, every sunset you've watched, every dream you've dreamed. As you float gently through this peaceful exploration of time and cells, let me share with you some of the most beautiful secrets that science has whispered about the aging process. Discoveries so surprising and elegant that they read like poetry written in the language of biology itself. Here's something that might make you smile as you drift toward sleep. Your heart doesn't age the way you might expect. While many of your cells divide and shorten their telomeres throughout your life, your heart muscle cells, those faithful workers that have been beating since before you were born, barely divide at all after your first few years of life. Instead, they simply grow larger and more experienced, like ancient trees that add rings year after year without ever starting over. This means that the heart beating in your chest right now contains many of the same cells that beat during your very first breath. They've been with you through every moment of joy, every challenge overcome, every peaceful night like this one. In a very real sense, your heart holds the cellular memory of your entire life's journey. Those muscle cells have expanded and contracted more than 2 billion times by the time you reach middle age. Yet they continue their faithful rhythm, growing wiser and more resilient with each passing year. And here's another gentle surprise that scientists have only recently discovered. Your brain, which you might think ages uniformly, actually contains some regions that seem to stay remarkably young throughout your entire life. The hippocampus, that seahorse-shaped structure deep in your brain where memories are formed, continues to birth new neurons even into your 70s and beyond. These newborn brain cells migrate to their destinations like tiny pilgrims, seeking their place in the vast neural landscape of your thoughts and dreams. Imagine this. While you sleep tonight, new neurons might be taking their first tentative steps in your brain, ready to help you form tomorrow's memories, to process new experiences, to contribute to the ongoing masterpiece of your consciousness. Aging, in this light, becomes not just about preservation, but about continual renewal and possibility. Perhaps even more surprising is the discovery that some of your cells barely age at all. The stem cells that live quietly in your bone marrow, in your intestines, in your skin, these cellular fountains of youth maintain their telomeres through a special enzyme called telomerase, like having a personal repair crew that constantly maintains those protective chromosomal caps. These cells serve as your body's reserves, ready to spring into action when new cells are needed, carrying with them the fresh possibility of renewal, even as decades pass. But here's where the story becomes truly magical. Scientists have found that identical twins, who start life with exactly the same DNA, can age at remarkably different rates depending on how they live their lives. The twin who meditates regularly, maintains strong social connections, exercises gently, and manages stress well, can have significantly longer telomeres than their genetically identical sibling who lives a more stressful, isolated lifestyle. This discovery reveals something profound about the relationship between mind and body, between consciousness and cellular health. Your thoughts, your relationships, your daily choices are literally writing themselves into the molecular structure of your cells. When you experience moments of deep peace like this one, when you feel connected and loved, when you engage in activities that bring you joy, all of these experiences send chemical signals throughout your body that can actually slow the cellular aging process. There's a beautiful irony here. Some of the things that make us feel most alive, falling in love, learning something new, helping others, experiencing awe at a sunset, or a piece of music, these moments of peak human experience actually help preserve our cellular youth. It's as if the universe has designed life so that the more fully we live, the more slowly we age at the molecular level. Scientists have also discovered that certain animals seem to have unlocked secrets of aging that we're only beginning to understand. The bowhead whale, swimming through the Arctic seas, can live for more than 200 years, its cells maintaining their integrity across centuries. Deep in the ocean, there are clams that have been filtering seawater for over 400 years. They're simple but elegant cellular machinery, operating with a patience and persistence that puts our human timescales into perspective. And then there are the trees, those gentle giants that can live for thousands of years. Some of the bristlecone pines in California having started their slow growth before the pyramids were built. These ancient organisms teach us that longevity isn't about fighting against time, but about finding sustainable rhythms, about growing slowly and steadily, about adapting gracefully to changing conditions while maintaining core stability. Even more fascinating is the recent discovery that the aging process can sometimes reverse itself at the cellular level. When researchers provided optimal conditions, the right nutrients, the right environment, the right stimulation, some aged cells began to behave more like younger cells, their gene expression patterns shifting toward more youthful configurations. It's as if the cells remembered how to be young again, awakening sleeping programs that had been dormant but not lost. This doesn't mean we can stop aging or turn back time in any dramatic way, but it does suggest that the aging process is more flexible and responsive than we once believed. Your cells are constantly listening to the signals you send them through your lifestyle choices, your emotional state, your social connections, your sense of purpose and meaning in life. Perhaps the most beautiful surprise of all is the discovery that the cellular changes of aging often serve important purposes beyond simple timekeeping. Senescent cells, those wise old cells that have stopped dividing, secrete a complex mixture of chemicals that help coordinate tissue repair, guide immune responses, and even suppress the formation of cancers. In a very real way, your aging cells are using their accumulated wisdom to protect and guide the younger cells around them. It's like having experienced elders in a community who may no longer do the heavy physical work, but whose guidance and wisdom help the entire community function more effectively. Your aging cells are contributing to your overall health and resilience in ways that are invisible but essential. Their cellular senescence serving not as failure, but as a transition to a different kind of service. So as you rest here in this peaceful moment, remember that aging is not a simple story of decline, but a complex, beautiful, purposeful process full of surprises and hidden gifts. Your body is aging not because it's broken or failing, but because it's wise enough to change, adapt, and find new ways to serve the magnificent consciousness that is you. In the soft quietude of this moment, as your breathing deepens and your thoughts begin to float like leaves on a still pond, let us pause to contemplate what this gentle science of aging means in the larger tapestry of existence. What does it tell us about the nature of life itself, about our place in the grand story? that the universe has been writing for billions of years? Picture, if you will, the entire cosmos as a vast symphony that began with the first notes of the Big Bang nearly 14 billion years ago. In this cosmic composition, the aging of our cells represents just a few measures in an incredibly long and complex piece of music. Yet these brief measures, the span of a human lifetime, contain within them melodies of such beauty and intricacy that they justify the entire symphony's existence. Your aging body is not separate from this cosmic symphony, but an integral part of it. The calcium in your bones was forged in the nuclear furnaces of ancient stars that lived and died billions of years before our sun was born. The iron in your blood once flowed through stellar cores so massive that when they collapsed, they scattered their atomic gifts across space and time, seeding the universe with the elements that would one day become your thoughts, your dreams, your capacity to love and wonder. In this perspective, the shortening of your telomeres is not just a cellular process, but a cosmic event. Each cell division, each gentle tick of your biological clock, is the universe experiencing itself through the temporary arrangement of atoms that has learned to call itself by your name. The aging process becomes not a countdown to ending, but a way for the cosmos to explore consciousness, creativity, and connection through the beautiful limitation of mortal life. Consider how aging gives weight and meaning to our experiences. If we lived forever, would a sunset be as precious? Would love carry the same poignancy? Would acts of kindness feel as urgent and important? The knowledge that our time is measured makes each moment more valuable, like rare gems that shine more brightly because of their scarcity. Your aging process is also a form of cosmic recycling, a way for the universe to ensure that the atoms and molecules that make up your body will eventually return to the great pool of existence, available to become part of new stars, new planets, new forms of life. The carbon atoms in your muscles might one day help form the trunk of a mighty oak tree. The phosphorus in your DNA might become part of the neural networks of creatures not yet evolved, thinking thoughts not yet imagined. This isn't loss. It's transformation, participation in an endless cycle of creation and renewal that extends far beyond any individual life. Your aging body is practicing for this ultimate act of generosity, gradually learning to let go, to release its grip on the particular arrangement of matter that temporarily creates your unique perspective on existence. But perhaps the most profound aspect of aging is how it teaches us to live in the present moment. Young bodies, with their abundant energy and seemingly limitless future, can afford to postpone happiness, to delay gratitude, to assume that the important conversations and experiences can wait for another day. But as we age, as we become aware of the gentle ticking of our cellular clocks, we develop what we might call temporal wisdom, an understanding that this moment, right now, is not a rehearsal for life, of life itself. The aches and limitations that come with aging can be seen not as cruel reminders of mortality, but as gentle teachers, encouraging us to slow down enough to notice the extraordinary in the ordinary. The longer it takes to climb stairs, the more opportunity we have to appreciate the engineering marvels that are our muscles and bones. The need for reading glasses becomes an invitation to really see, to pay attention to the miracle of vision that we once took for granted. Aging also transforms our relationship with beauty. Young beauty is often about perfection, symmetry, the absence of flaws. But the beauty that emerges with age is more complex, more interesting. It's the beauty of character written in the landscape of a face, the elegance of movements that have learned efficiency through decades of practice, the loveliness of wisdom that shows in the eyes of someone who has seen much and learned to love anyway. Your aging hands, with their accumulating lines and spots, are like geological maps telling the story of all they've touched, all they've created, all they've given. Your aging voice, perhaps less strong than it once was, carries within its tones the echoes of every word of love you've spoken, every song you've sung, every truth you've dared to voice. And what of memory? As we age, recent memories may become harder to form, but older memories often grow more vivid, more meaningful. It's as if the brain, knowing its time is measured, begins to curate its collection, keeping the experiences that matter most while allowing the trivial details to fade. This isn't failure. It's editorial wisdom, the neural equivalent of an art curator, selecting only the most important pieces for a final exhibition. The aging process also reveals the profound interconnectedness of all life. As your individual story unfolds through the decades, you become part of larger stories, the story of your family, your community, your generation's contribution to the ongoing human narrative. Your aging is not just about you. It's about your role as a temporary steward of consciousness, carrying forward the accumulated wisdom of all who came before you, while preparing the way for those who will come after. In many wisdom traditions, elders are revered not despite their aging bodies, but because of them. The lines on their faces are seen as evidence of lives fully lived, the slowness of their movements as a natural transition toward contemplation and depth. Their aging is understood as a graduation to a different kind of existence, where physical vitality gives way to spiritual insight, where the urgent concerns of youth yield to the patient wisdom of experience. So as you rest here in this peaceful state, allow yourself to see your own aging process as part of this larger cosmic story. You are not fighting against time, but dancing with it. You are not losing your youth, but gaining your depth. You are not approaching an ending, but participating in an endless transformation that connects you to everything that has ever been and everything that will ever be. Asterisk, asterisk, as you float deeper into this contemplative space, where thoughts move as slowly as clouds drifting across a summer sky, let us explore one of the most beautiful paradoxes of the aging process. How growing older can simultaneously make us more ourselves, while also dissolving the rigid boundaries of who we thought we were. Imagine your younger self as a tightly closed flower bud, all potential, all possibility, but still wrapped in protective layers that haven't yet learned to open to the light. The aging process is like the gradual blooming of this flower, where each passing year peels back another layer, revealing colors and fragrances that were always there, but needed time and experience to emerge fully into the world. This is why many people report feeling more authentically themselves as they age, even as their bodies change in ways that might seem to diminish their former capabilities. The cellular wisdom we've been exploring, those senescent cells sharing their accumulated knowledge, those shortened telomeres, marking the passage of meaningful time, mirrors a psychological and spiritual wisdom that emerges when we stop trying to be who we think we should be and start becoming who we actually are. Your aging face, with its deepening lines and changing contours, is not a departure from your true self, but an arrival at it. Each wrinkle is like a river carved by the flow of your experiences, creating a unique topography that tells the story of your particular journey through the landscape of being human. The young face you once wore was beautiful in its smooth potential. The aging face you wear now is beautiful in its rich actuality. And what of time itself? As we age, our relationship with time undergoes a profound transformation that mirrors the cellular changes happening within us. Children experience time as an endless ocean. Summer vacations feel eternal. The wait for a birthday stretches into infinity. Young adults rush through time, always reaching toward the next milestone, the next achievement, the next phase of life. But as we age, time becomes more precious precisely because we begin to understand its finite nature. This awareness doesn't diminish our experience of life. It enriches it. Like a master perfumer who can detect dozens of subtle fragrances in a single scent, the aging person learns to perceive layers of meaning and beauty in moments that younger people might hurry past without noticing. Consider how this relates to the cellular processes we've been exploring. Your cells, as they age, don't simply slow down. They become more selective, more discerning about how they use their energy. They stop dividing frantically and start focusing on quality over quantity, on maintenance and wisdom over rapid expansion. In the same way, your aging consciousness learns to be more selective about where you invest your attention, your emotions, your precious life force. This selectivity is not a limitation, but a refinement. The aging mind becomes like a master editor, keeping what serves the story of your life and letting go of what doesn't. This is why many older people report caring less about others' opinions while caring more deeply about genuine connection. It's why material possessions often become less important while experiences and relationships gain weight and significance. The aging process also teaches us about the beauty of impermanence in ways that youth cannot fully appreciate. When everything feels permanent, when energy is abundant, when the future stretches endlessly ahead, it's easy to take the ordinary miracles of existence for granted. But as we age, as we begin to understand viscerally that everything changes, we develop what Buddhists call precious human life awareness, a deep appreciation for the extraordinary privilege of being conscious in a universe that is mostly unconscious. Your aging body becomes a teacher of presence. The slight stiffness in your joints in the morning reminds you that you have a body, that you are embodied consciousness rather than pure thought. The need to rest more often creates natural pauses for reflection, for simply being rather than constantly doing. The gradual slowing of certain physical processes creates space for the acceleration of inner processes, contemplation, wisdom, the cultivation of peace. And here's something truly profound to consider. As you rest in this peaceful state, the aging process may actually be preparing us for something beyond our current understanding. Many wisdom traditions speak of death, not as an ending, but as a transition, a graduation from one form of existence to another. If this is true, then aging might be understood as a gradual preparation, a slow loosening of our attachment to this particular arrangement of atoms and molecules that we call our body. The cellular changes of aging, the gradual shift from rapid division to peaceful senescence, the accumulation of wisdom over speed, the movement from building to maintaining, might be teaching us how to eventually let go completely. Not through force or violence, but through a natural process as organic and purposeful as a leaf changing color and falling from a tree in autumn. This perspective transforms grief about aging into gratitude for the privilege of conscious existence. Every ache, every gray hair, every moment of forgetting where you put your keys becomes evidence that you have been granted the extraordinary experience of being a temporary arrangement of stardust that learned to think, to feel, to love, to wonder at its own existence. Your aging is also a gift to others, particularly to those who are younger and still learning how to be human. When young people see you navigating the challenges of aging with grace, wisdom, and humor, you become a teacher of what's possible. You demonstrate that beauty doesn't end with youth. That purpose doesn't disappear with retirement. That joy doesn't require a perfect body or unlimited energy. The very fact that you're here tonight, listening to this gentle exploration of aging, shows something beautiful about the human spirit. You're not just passively experiencing the aging process. You're seeking to understand it, to find meaning in it, to approach it with curiosity rather than fear. This attitude itself affects the aging process. The cells throughout your body respond to your emotional and mental state, aging more gracefully. When you approach the process with acceptance and wonder rather than resistance and anxiety, consider this: a cellular senescence happening throughout your body right now is not random or chaotic, but follows patterns of incredible sophistication. Your body knows how to age just as it once knew how to grow from a single cell into the complex, conscious being you are today. The same intelligence that guided your development is guiding your aging, and you can trust this process, even when you don't fully understand it. In this light, aging becomes not something that happens to you, but something you participate in. A collaborative dance between your conscious awareness and the ancient wisdom encoded in your cells. You are both the dancer and the dance, both the story and the storyteller, both the temporary wave and the eternal ocean from which you arose and to which you will return. So rest now in the knowledge that your aging is perfect, purposeful, and part of a larger intelligence that has been unfolding for billions of years. You are exactly where and when you need to be in this cosmic story, and every cell in your body is participating in this grand adventure of conscious existence with you. *** in this deepening quietude, as your body settles more completely into rest, and your mind drifts like morning mist over still water, let us contemplate perhaps the most mysterious aspect of aging, how the passage of time through our bodies connects us to the vast rhythms of the universe itself, making us participants in something infinitely larger than our individual lives. Think for a moment about the different types of time that flow through your existence. There's the mechanical time of clocks and calendars, marking seconds and minutes with metronomic precision. There's biological time, measured by heartbeats, and breath cycles, by the waxing and waning of hormones, by the gentle ticking of those cellular clocks we've been exploring. And then there's psychological time, the way a moment of profound beauty seems to last forever, while years of routine can pass in what feels like days. As we age, these different streams of time begin to converge and harmonize in ways that create a richer, more nuanced experience of existence. The urgency of youth, with its rapid biological rhythms and endless psychological time, gradually gives way to something more measured, more contemplative. Like a river that slows as it approaches the sea, our aging consciousness learns to move with deeper currents, less concerned with the turbulence on the surface and more attuned to the profound movements beneath. This shift in temporal awareness is reflected at the cellular level in ways that science is only beginning to understand. The senescent cells throughout your body aren't just aging individually, they're communicating with each other, creating networks of wisdom that span your entire organism. These cells release chemical signals that inform younger cells about the history of your body, the challenges it has faced, the adaptations it has made. In essence, your aging cells are writing a biological memoir that influences every aspect of your continued existence. Imagine this cellular communication as a vast library where ancient books share their wisdom with newer volumes. The old texts don't compete with the new ones. Instead, they provide context, depth, and guidance. Your senescent cells serve a similar function, offering the accumulated experience of decades to help guide the decisions being made by fresher, more energetic cells throughout your body. This is why aging often brings with it a kind of embodied wisdom that can't be taught or learned through study alone. Your body has become a living archive of every stress it has overcome, every healing it has accomplished, every adaptation it has made to the changing circumstances of your life. This archive isn't just stored passively in your cells. It's actively consulted by your body's ongoing processes, influencing everything from how you respond to new challenges to how efficiently you process emotions. The aging process also reveals the profound interconnectedness between mind and body in Halcyon, ways that younger people rarely appreciate. As the cellular changes of aging progress, many people discover that their emotional life becomes richer and more nuanced. The same biological processes that slow physical reflexes often enhance emotional intelligence, creating space for deeper empathy, greater patience, and more sophisticated understanding of the human condition. Your aging brain, even as it may struggle with certain types of memory or processing speed, often develops enhanced abilities in pattern recognition, emotional regulation, and the synthesis of complex information. Like a master chef who no longer needs to measure ingredients precisely because they understand intuitively how flavors combine. Your aging mind learns to work with subtlety and nuance rather than raw computational power. This shift from speed to sophistication is mirrored throughout your aging body. Your muscles may not respond as quickly as they once did, but they often develop a kind of grace and efficiency that comes only from decades of practice. Your voice may lose some of its youthful strength, but it gains the resonance and depth. That can only come from having spoken thousands of words of love, comfort, and wisdom over the years. And what of love itself? How does the aging process transform our capacity for connection and affection? Young love often burns bright and hot, fed by abundant energy and the intoxication of possibility. But aging love, the love between partners who have grown old together, the love of grandparents for their grandchildren, the love that comes from understanding the preciousness of time, this love burns with a different kind of flame. It's steadier, deeper, less dramatic, but more sustaining. Your aging heart, beating its billions of faithful beats, has pumped love through your body in countless forms over the decades. The same muscle that raced with first attraction, that ached with loss, that swelled with pride at your children's accomplishments, continues its work with the accumulated wisdom of all these experiences. In a very real sense, your aging heart is a repository of love, holding within its tissues the memory of every emotional moment. It has helped you survive and savor. The aging process also teaches us about the art of letting go, not as loss or defeat, but as a conscious practice of making space for what matters most. As physical capabilities change, as energy becomes more precious, as time reveals its finite nature, we naturally begin to release our grip on things that once seemed essential, but were actually peripheral to our deepest purposes. This letting go creates space for what contemplatives call essential being, the core self that exists beneath all the roles we play, all the achievements we accumulate, all the identities we construct. Young people often struggle to find this essential self because they're so busy building and becoming. But aging naturally strips away the non-essential, revealing the bedrock of who we truly are beneath all the accumulations of a lifetime. Your aging process is also contributing to something larger than your individual journey. It's part of the ongoing evolution of human consciousness itself. Each generation that ages gracefully, that finds meaning and beauty in the later chapters of life, that demonstrates wisdom and dignity in the face of physical limitations, creates a template for future generations to follow. You are not just aging for yourself. You are aging for all of humanity, helping to write the ongoing story of what it means to grow older consciously, gracefully, and with purpose. Your example of how to navigate the challenges and embrace the gifts of aging becomes part of the collective human wisdom about how to live a complete life. In many indigenous cultures, elders are seen as bridges between the world of the living and the world of the ancestors. Their aging bodies are understood as gradually becoming more transparent to other realms of existence, their accumulated wisdom making them natural interpreters of deeper truths. Whether or not you hold these particular beliefs, there's something beautiful about seeing your aging process as a gradual opening to broader perspectives, deeper wisdom, and more universal truths. So as you rest in this peaceful moment, recognize that your aging is not a private journey, but a sacred participation in the larger story of consciousness exploring itself through the temporary arrangements of matter we call human bodies. Every cell in your body that ages tonight does so as part of this magnificent cosmic experiment in awareness, love, and meaning. Your aging is perfect because it's part of a process that has been perfecting itself for billions of years, finding ever more beautiful and sophisticated ways for the universe to know itself through the eyes of conscious beings like you. As you sink even deeper into this oceanic calm, where thoughts dissolve and reform like waves meeting shore, let us explore the most intimate mystery of aging, how it transforms not just our bodies and minds, but our very relationship with existence itself, teaching us to inhabit the present moment with a fullness that youth, in all its rushing energy, rarely achieves. Consider how a master gardener approaches their work differently than an eager beginner. The novice plants with enthusiasm, watering frequently, checking for growth daily, impatient for results. But the experienced gardener moves with deliberate calm, understanding that growth happens in its own time, that forcing rarely helps, that the most profound changes occur slowly, invisibly, in the quiet darkness beneath the soil. Your aging consciousness is becoming like that master gardener, learning to tend the garden of your life with patience rather than urgency, with wisdom rather than mere energy. The cellular changes we've explored, the gradual shift from rapid division to contemplative senescence, mirror this psychological transformation from doing to being, from becoming to simply accepting what already is. This shift creates space for what mystics have called the peace that passes understanding, a deep contentment that doesn't depend on circumstances, achievements, or even physical comfort. It's the peace of a tree that has weathered many seasons, its roots grown deep, its branches flexible enough to bend with whatever winds may come. Your aging body is teaching your consciousness how to embody this kind of resilience, this profound acceptance of life's ever-changing nature. The shortened telomeres in your cells are like prayer, beads worn smooth by countless repetitions of the sacred act of living. Each cellular division that has brought you to this moment represents not loss, but accumulated grace, the grace of breathing through difficulty, of healing from injury, of adapting to change, of continuing to choose life even when life becomes challenging. And what of memory, that most mysterious aspect of consciousness that aging touches so intimately? As we grow older, recent memories may become more elusive, like trying to catch mist in our hands. But often, older memories grow more vivid, more meaningful, as if our aging brains are becoming curators of experience, keeping what nourishes the soul while letting the trivial details fade away. This isn't failure, it's refinement. Your aging mind is learning to distinguish between information and wisdom, between mere data and true understanding. Like a library that must occasionally weed its collection to make room for the most valuable volumes. Your brain is making conscious and unconscious choices about what to preserve and what to release. The memories that remain often carry an almost sacred quality, not just because they're old, but because they've been chosen by your deepest self as worthy of preservation. That vivid recollection of your child's first steps, the smell of your grandmother's kitchen, the feeling of your first kiss, the moment you realized you were loved. These memories shine with particular brightness, not despite your aging brain, but because of its increasing wisdom about what truly matters. Your aging process is also teaching you about the profound beauty of cycles, how everything in nature moves through seasons of growth, flowering, fruiting, and rest. Youth is the spring of life, all green energy and upward thrust. Midlife is summer, full of activity and productivity and the heat of accomplishment. But aging is autumn, with its own unique gifts, the rich colors of accumulated experience, the sweetness of fruit ripened by time, the peaceful preparation for winter's contemplative rest. This cyclical understanding helps transform the fear that often accompanies aging into something closer to curiosity. Instead of seeing aging as a linear decline, we begin to understand it as part of a larger pattern, as natural and purposeful as the changing seasons. Your body knows how to age, just as it once knew how to grow, and you can trust this ancient wisdom even when the changes feel unfamiliar or challenging. The aging process also reveals the profound interconnectedness of all existence in ways that youth often misses. As physical independence gradually gives way to greater reliance on others, as the boundaries between self and world become more permeable. Many aging individuals discover a deeper sense of connection to the web of life that supports and sustains all beings. Your aging body is teaching you that independence was always partly an illusion. You have always been supported by countless others, from the farmers who grew your food to the ancestors whose struggles made your life possible. Aging simply makes this interdependence more visible, more conscious, transforming what might feel like loss of autonomy into recognition of the beautiful ways we are all held by forces larger than ourselves. This recognition can bring profound relief. The burden of trying to control everything, to be completely self-sufficient, to manage life through will and effort alone, gradually lifts as we begin to understand our place in the larger ecosystem of existence. Like a river that stops fighting its banks and learns to flow with the contours of the landscape, aging consciousness learns to move with the currents of life rather than against them. Your aging is also a form of prayer, a lived meditation on the preciousness of existence. Each day that you continue to breathe, to love, to find moments of beauty and meaning, despite the challenges that come with physical changes, is a testament to the indomitable nature of consciousness itself. You are proving, through your very being, that awareness is stronger than matter. That spirit can find ways to shine even when the vessel that contains it becomes more fragile. And in this recognition lies perhaps the greatest gift of aging. The understanding that you are not your body, you are deeply connected to it. You are not your memories, though they shape you. You are not your achievements or failures, though they color your experience. You are the awareness that witnesses all of these things, the consciousness that has remained constant through every change your body and mind have undergone. This awareness, this you, that has watched your body grow from infant to child to adult to elder, remains untouched by the aging process. It is as fresh and present now as it was when you were 5 years old, as clear and aware as it will be in whatever years remain to you. The cellular changes, the physical transformations, the shifts in memory and energy, all of these happen within the field of this unchanging awareness, like weather patterns moving through an eternal sky. Recognizing this unchanging core of yourself doesn't diminish the reality of physical aging or make its challenges less real. Instead, it provides a stable foundation from which to meet those challenges with grace, curiosity, and even humor. You can observe your aging process with the same loving attention you might give to watching a sunset or listening to beautiful music, appreciating the changes, finding beauty in the transitions, while remaining anchored in the peace of simply being present to whatever unfolds. So as you rest here in this deep tranquility, recognize that your aging is not something happening to you, but something you are participating in with every cell of your being. You are aging consciously, gracefully, as part of your ongoing collaboration with the intelligence that created you and that continues to sustain you in every moment. In this profound stillness, where the boundaries between sleeping and waking begin to blur like watercolors bleeding into soft paper, let us contemplate the most sacred aspect of aging, how it gradually reveals that our individual stories are chapters in a much larger book, written in the elegant script of stardust and time across the pages of eternity. Your aging body is like an ancient manuscript that has been handled by many readers over the years. The pages may show signs of wear, gentle creases where favorite passages have been revisited, and again, slight fading where the ink of experience has been touched by the light of countless days. But these signs of age don't diminish the manuscript's value. They increase it, making it more precious because it has been truly lived with, truly loved. Each cell in your body carries within its molecular structure the history not just of your individual life, but of all life that has come before. The genetic code written in your DNA includes sequences that are virtually identical to those found in organisms that lived hundreds of millions of years ago. Your aging process connects you to this vast lineage of existence, making you a living library that holds the accumulated wisdom of evolution itself. When your cells divide and their telomeres shorten, they're participating in a rhythm as old as multicellular life. The first organisms that developed this elegant system of cellular timekeeping did so in ancient oceans, under skies that held different stars than the ones that shine on you tonight. Yet the fundamental process remains the same: life-finding, ways to measure itself, to know when to grow and when to rest, when to build and when to let go. This continuity across deep time reveals something profound about your place in the cosmos. You are not an isolated individual aging alone, but part of an unbroken chain of conscious beings stretching back through millions of generations, each one contributing their unique verse to the ongoing poem of existence. Your aging is not just your story, but humanity's story, life's story, the universe coming to know itself through the temporary arrangement of particles that learn to call itself by your name. As you age, you become increasingly like those ancient trees that serve as bridges between earth and sky. Your roots, the accumulated experience of decades of living, grow deeper into the soil of wisdom and understanding. Your branches, your connections to family, friends, community, reach toward the light of love and meaning. And like those trees, you provide shelter and nourishment for others, simply by being what you are, offering the gifts that can only come from having weathered many seasons. The cellular senescence occurring throughout your body mirrors this tree-like transformation. Young cells are like enthusiastic saplings, growing quickly, reaching eagerly toward the light. But senescent cells are like the mature trees that have learned to put down deep roots, to sway with the wind rather than resist it, to offer their shade and wisdom to the younger growth around them. Your aging face, with its deepening character, lines and changing contours, is becoming like the landscape of a well-loved place, a countryside marked by the gentle passages of seasons, where every hill and valley tells a story of weathered, of challenges met, of beauty discovered. In the most unexpected moments, the young face you once wore was like a blank canvas. The aging face you wear now is a masterpiece painted by time itself. And consider how aging transforms your relationship with silence and solitude. Youth often fills quiet moments with activity, afraid of emptiness, eager to avoid the spaces between thoughts and experiences. But aging teaches us to appreciate these quiet intervals, to find in them not emptiness but fullness, the deep contentment of simply being present to the miracle of existence without needing to add anything to it. Aging body naturally creates more of these contemplative pauses. The need to rest more frequently, the slowing of certain physical processes, a gradual shift from external achievement to internal reflection. All of these changes invite you into deeper communion with the present moment, with the subtle but profound experience of being conscious in a mostly unconscious universe. This growing appreciation for stillness and reflection is mirrored at the cellular level by the way senescent cells shift their focus from rapid division to more subtle forms of activity. These cells begin to secrete different proteins to communicate with their neighbors in more complex ways, to contribute to the overall wisdom of your body's systems through presence rather than mere productivity. The aging process also teaches us about the art of receiving, not just giving, contributing, and creating, but allowing ourselves to be helped, supported, and loved by others. This can be challenging in a culture that values independence and self-sufficiency, but learning to receive gracefully is actually a profound gift we can offer to those around us. When we allow others to care for us, to assist us, to share in the challenges and joys of our aging process, we give them the opportunity to express their love in tangible ways. Your aging becomes a collaborative creation, woven together with the care and attention of all those who love you. Every gentle hand that helps steady you, Every patient ear that listens to your stories, every heart that holds you in affection, becomes part of your aging story. You are not aging alone, but in community, surrounded by a network of connection. That makes your individual journey part of something much larger and more beautiful. This interconnectedness extends beyond human relationships to encompass your connection with the natural world. As you age, you may find yourself more sensitive to the subtle rhythms of seasons, more aware of the way morning light falls across your room, more appreciative of the simple presence of plants and animals. This isn't sentimentality, but wisdom. The recognition that you are part of the larger living system of Earth, aging along with everything else in the great seasonal cycle of existence. Your breathing, slower and perhaps more conscious now than in your youth, participates in the same atmospheric exchange that sustains all life on the planet. The oxygen you breathe was exhaled by plants and trees, and the carbon dioxide you release will nourish green growing things in an endless cycle of mutual support. Your aging lungs are part of the planet's respiratory system, your individual breath part of the larger breathing of the earth itself. And what of legacy? That deep human need to know that our lives have mattered, that something of who we are will continue beyond the boundaries of our individual existence? The aging process naturally turns our attention toward this question, not from morbid fascination with death, but from the beautiful recognition that we are temporary stewards of gifts that are meant to be passed on. Your legacy lives not only in the children you may have raised or the work you may have accomplished, but in every act of kindness you've performed, every moment of beauty you've appreciated, every person you've loved, every truth you've spoken. These ripple outward through the network of existence in ways you may never fully know, but that continue to influence the world long after the particular arrangement of atoms that composes your body has returned to the elements from which it came. So rest now in the knowledge that your aging is sacred work, holy participation in the ongoing creation of meaning and beauty in the universe. Every shortened telomere, every senescent cell, every gray hair and laugh line is evidence of a life fully engaged with the magnificent mystery of conscious existence. Asterisk, asterisk. And so we come to the gentle close of our journey together through the quiet science of aging, like a slow river finally reaching the peaceful bay where it meets the endless sea. Here, in this soft twilight of our exploration, let us gather the threads of understanding we've woven and hold them lightly, like a bouquet of night-blooming flowers that release their sweetest fragrance only in the darkness. We began with the image of a single candle flame flickering softly in the quiet darkness, and we return to it now with deeper appreciation. That flame represents not just the light of your individual life, but your participation in the eternal fire of consciousness. That has been burning since the first spark of awareness illuminated the cosmos. Your aging process is not the dimming of this flame, but its transformation into something richer, deeper, more resonant with the profound rhythms of existence itself. The cellular clocks we've explored, those gentle timekeepers counting out the rhythm of life through the shortening of telomeres, are like the soft ticking of a grandfather clock in a quiet house at night, marking not the passage toward ending, but the accumulation of moments lived with purpose and presence. Each tick represents another breath taken in gratitude, another heartbeat of love given and received, another instant of consciousness marveling at its own impossible existence. We've traveled together through the microscopic landscapes of your body, floating like gentle explorers through the warm seas between your cells, witnessing the elegant architecture of aging at the molecular level. We've seen how senescent cells, those wise elders of your cellular community, shift from rapid division to contemplative service, sharing their accumulated knowledge with younger cells like experienced teachers guiding eager students. We've discovered that aging is not a flaw in the design of life, but a feature of it, as purposeful and beautiful as the way flowers know when to bloom and when to set seed, as natural as the way Rivers carve new channels through the landscape while depositing fertile soil along their banks. Your aging body is following ancient instructions written in the very structure of DNA, participating in patterns of change and renewal that connect you to all of life on Earth and beyond. Through the gentle story of Dr. Hayflick's patient observations. In his quiet laboratory, we've learned that the limits built into our cells are not cruel restrictions, but wise guidance systems, ensuring that each life unfolds at just the right pace, with just the right duration, contributing to the larger symphony of existence in precisely the way it was meant to contribute. We've journeyed through the surprising discoveries of modern science. How some parts of your body barely age at all. How new brain cells continue to be born even in advanced years. How the very act of living consciously and lovingly can influence the rate of cellular aging. These discoveries remind us that we are not passive victims of time, but active participants in the ongoing creation of our own biological story. Asterisk, asterisk, but perhaps most importantly, we've explored the deeper meaning of aging, how it connects us to the vast cycles of the cosmos, how it teaches us to live in the present moment with a fullness that youth rarely achieves, how it gradually reveals that our individual stories are part of a much larger narrative, written in the elegant script of stardust and time. We've seen how aging transforms our relationship with beauty, with time, with love itself. The beauty of youth is the beauty of potential. The beauty of age is the beauty of fulfillment. Young time feels infinite. Aging time feels precious. Young love burns bright with passion. Aging love glows steady with the accumulated warmth of countless shared moments. Your aging process is teaching you to be like those ancient trees that serve as bridges between earth and sky, rooted deeply in the soil of experience while reaching toward the light of understanding. Every physical change, every shift in energy or memory, every adaptation your body makes to the passage of years is part of this gradual transformation from sapling to mighty oak, from eager youth to wise elder. We've discovered that this wisdom extends even to your cells themselves. The aging occurring throughout your body is not random or chaotic, but follows patterns of incredible sophistication. Your body knows how to age, just as it once knew how to grow, guided by the same intelligence that transformed you from a single cell into the complex, conscious being you are today. As you rest here now in this deep peace, feel the gentle activity of your cells continuing their ancient work. Some are dividing, creating new possibilities. Others are entering senescence, sharing their accumulated wisdom. All of them are participating in the slow, patient, beautiful process of writing your unique story into the living book of your body. Remember that your aging is perfect because it's part of a process that has been perfecting itself for billions of years. You are not separate from this cosmic intelligence, but an expression of it, a temporary arrangement of matter that has learned to contemplate its own existence, to love, to wonder, to find meaning in the brief span of years allotted. To conscious beings in this corner of the universe, your shortened telomeres are like prayer, beads worn smooth by countless repetitions of the sacred act of living. Your senescent cells are like wise elders in a village, no longer doing the heavy work of youth, but offering guidance and perspective that can only come from having lived long and seen much. Your aging body is a library of experiences, a museum of moments, a living archive of every kindness given, every sunset witnessed, every breath taken in gratitude for the impossible gift of being alive. So as this gentle exploration comes to its close, carry with you the understanding that your aging is not a journey toward diminishment, but toward completion, not a departure from life, but a deeper arrival at its essential meaning. You are aging not because you are broken or failing, but because you are wise enough to change, to adapt, to find new ways to serve the magnificent consciousness that you are. May you sleep tonight with the peaceful knowledge that every cell in your body is participating in the most elegant process ever devised. The gradual transformation of stardust into wisdom, of matter into meaning, of simple existence into the profound experience of being consciously alive in a universe that mostly sleeps. Wherever you are tonight, I hope you're resting well. May your dreams be filled with the gentle light of stars that have been shining since before the earth was born, reminding you that you are part of something infinitely vast and eternally beautiful. May you wake tomorrow with gratitude for another day of this impossible adventure, another opportunity to participate in the ongoing creation of meaning and love in the cosmos. And may you remember always that your aging is sacred work, holy participation in the universe's long exploration of what it means to be conscious, to love, to find beauty in the brief span of years given to each unique arrangement of atoms that learns to call itself by name. God, thank you for sharing this peaceful journey through the gentle science of time and cells. Rest well, dream peacefully, and know that your aging is a gift to yourself, to those who love you, and to the cosmos itself, which learns about its own beauty through your eyes, your heart, your gradually changing but eternally precious presence in the world. Good night, gentle traveler. May your sleep be deep, your dreams be sweet, and your tomorrow be filled with wonder at the magnificent mystery of being alive in this aging, evolving, eternally beautiful universe we call home.